can't get my boots on. I'm making a no-dig cottage garden. Got lots going on in this space in as much as it's quite sloped. There are moles, there are deer obviously, there are squirrels, look, there's everything. So it's certainly going to be a challenging time. I just feel like I should have had a bit longer before they ravaged the place, that's all. It's me against nature, I feel. And I'm not going to win. This is why I'm really pleased, paid attention to building my core strength. This time last year, when I felt like my disc had just completely collapsed, I had no strength there at all, and I couldn't have lifted that bag of topsoil. Please, just stay strong, people. The gloves are off and the boots are on. So I just want to show you this actually. It's about 6:30 on Saturday morning and I'm standing in front of the door or behind the front door, and I just wondered if you can hear this. Can you hear them? Let's go outside. Welly boots at the door, ready for a day's gardening.
Hello and welcome to Gardener's World. With spring just around the corner, every gardener knows the excitement of making plans for the year ahead. Ned, stop dancing. Good boy. As the days lengthen and the sun's warmth increases, our gardens unfurl into a rich tapestry of colour.
I'm so excited about today. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about my plans for building my own sort of cottage garden here at the cottage. I've created and built and grown gardens before, but I haven't done one here yet. It's been basically a real sort of just a sense of maintaining it since moving in. I think that is down to various things, such as, you know, having the businesses down in Petworth, children, building the businesses up again after the pandemic, you know, just sort of things like that really. And also some sort of major life changes. And I think I said in a previous blog that I feel like I'm only really just coming up for air. And that's true. And I think that there has been created in me some sort of headspace, brain space, where I can think about or conceive of gardening again, because it does take a lot of effort and focus. One of the reasons why I didn't want to go there in terms of gardening was also the deer, because I spent about £200 on plants the first summer I moved in, and they were eaten so quickly, and it was such an incredible waste of money. I didn't know this garden at all. I didn't know just how naughty the deer were, so you know, it's nobody's fault, but it kind of put me off for a bit. But I'm up for it now. And what I didn't want to do was to go through the whole rigmarole of building raised beds. Raised beds need an awful lot of soil and compost to fill them, depending on how deep they are. You also need to build them. You need to construct them out of wood or whatever it is, you know, mainly wood. And I think it's interesting the way this happens. I think things go in subconsciously and then they pop up when they're ready. Because I had seen a few things, not a lot, about no-dig gardening, which popped into my mind a couple of months ago, and I thought, remember that, and when you're ready, look it up and find out what it is. So a few weeks ago, I just Googled no dig gardening, went down the rabbit hole, and came across a chap called Charles Dowding, who I've just become obsessed by. He is an incredible teacher and of course a proponent of no dig gardening. I've not seen any negativity spouted about Charles anywhere online, but I haven't looked for it. So I haven't found anyone who is against no dig gardening. I'm positive that if I looked hard enough or went onto like Reddit, I would find it. So I don't know what the consensus is. All I know is that I've seen his gardens. I think that this might work for me this year. It doesn't seem to be like an irreversible method. I can always pull them and maybe put some other types of beds in if it becomes just too much to manage. Look, I don't know. All I know is that I watched a lot of his videos and I thought I could do that. And so that is what I'm doing. I'm making a no dig cottage garden and I'm really looking forward to it. It's also a no dig vegetable garden. It's also a no dig cutting garden. It's just a no dig potager and no dig kitchen garden, and I am so looking forward to it. And maybe by the end of the growing season I might have a different take on things, but isn't that part of the journey? It is. I love it. One of my greatest fears in life is being bored. So let's crack on. I do have a caveat. So I am doing this in stages. One day I will put all of the vlogs together or videos together. But right now it's going to have to be in episodes, unfortunately, because I'm doing this in real time. But what I want you to know is that what you'll see today is not pretty. It's fairly wet down there. It's been pouring all night and we've just come off the back of the wettest summer we had for years and a very wet winter. So it's pretty wet down there, but it's not pretty. I'm good at prettying things, so I want you to trust me. But what you see right now are the bare bones, the very beginning, ground zero of this process. Yeah, so I just want you to trust the process and trust me, and I promise you that once all of the grunt work is done, I will make it as pretty and as gorgeous and as English country cottage as I can. So this is the area where I'm going to start building these no dig beds. I'm going to start very small, just with maybe a couple of beds. They're going to be square, not oblong, and I am going to have to fence them off. I'm using the no dig method, so I'm using cardboard as the weed suppressor and also some wooden battens around the side, around the edges. So that's that. Got lots going on in this space in as much as it's quite sloped. There are moles, there are deer obviously, there are squirrels, look, there's everything. So it's certainly going to be a challenging time. So starting with my cardboard boxes is very important. This acts as a barrier so that the grass doesn't grow up, as you will know. But one of the things is that it can't have any gaps in it. So I kind of have to play a little bit of almost like Tetris with it and just layer it so that it's flat, but so that all of the gaps are filled. We're just creating a square, and then the topsoil is going to go on top of that, and then some compost. But I think it's between 6 and 10 weeks, and this will have completely disintegrated and will have gone back into the ground. And after that, I'll have to start weeding. But that's perfect, because by then anything that I will have planted in here, the roots will have grown down, and then we'll be going into the earth. This is just a brilliant way to build vegetable beds, flower beds, and beds in small spaces as well. So I'm looking forward to this easy way of doing it. So this bit is my first bed. It's square, it's really quite small. I'm erring on the side of caution initially. and then expanding outwards. I'm just making sure that all of the tape is off the boxes, because obviously there will be plastic or something in there that we don't want. Get rid of the labels as well. Okay, look at that. First bed. Took what, 5 minutes? So I've sort of layered some of the boxes on top of each other, and there's no light coming through. There are no gaps. Look, the grass, weeds and everything will come through this. It will definitely need weeding. It's not about blocking out, you know, every single weed, because it will come through. But it's fairly thick, and I think this is like 1.5 boxes. So it's certainly not a big investment when it comes to cardboard or anything. I got these free from the local DIY shop. So I'm starting off with topsoil. It's very heavy, so it will help keep the cardboard in place in case we get, you know, maybe another storm or some wind. I'm not just going to leave it, but this is definitely heavier than compost, so that will be great as the first layer. It's at this point you realise just how much soil you're going to need because a bag disappears into nothing. But I'm just starting with this one bed. If I know that I'm going to continue and make more, then I'll get a proper delivery of soil and compost, or, you know, speak to some neighbours about it all. But yeah. Put it in the middle, and then I'll spread it out. Okay, that's 2 bags. I'm just going to spread it out and see if I need a third. So bearing in mind that I'm going to put compost on top of this, as well as this topsoil, I don't need this to be very deep, probably just about 3 inches. So I'll need another bag, maybe 2. Then that would take 4 bags, and if they're, yeah, 100 litres of topsoil. If you're thinking of doing it yourself, but you get quite a bit in here, whether it's, you know, flowers for cutting, or some herbs, or even some peas. You could definitely grow peas and some little veg in here. Okay, I don't want to tip it over the edge too much, so I'm being fairly cautious with all of this. I don't know, once I'm on my 10th bed, I'll be churning them out. Okay, so I'm going to put another 2 bags of topsoil on here. Now I wish I had all of the compost as well, so I could finish it, because the great thing about these, having watched all of the videos about how to make them, is that literally I could start planting today, and I just think that's so exciting. You don't have to wait for anything to dry or set or be filled or be ready. You put your cardboard down, you top it with soil and compost, and then you plant. I think that's really exciting. So I've spread the 3rd bag of topsoil out. I am going to add another, but before I do that, I'm going to edge it with some wood. I've got wood from pallets that I had at the deli, which we had, you know, biscuits and panettone delivered on. So I've kept those, and they were meant to be going to the skip, just to be recycled. but I've kept them and now I know why. So I'm going to edge the cardboard, edge the bed with some wood, just to keep it all in place. You do remove that edging, so it doesn't have to be permanent. You don't have to use nails or glue or anything. It just has to edge the bed for a while. So I reached a little bit of a stalemate in as much as the wood that I thought I had, I don't have. It's just going to be too difficult to break up those pallets. So I've just returned from the timber yard, which is just down the road. It's very easy to get to. And I've ordered enough, it's about 3 lengths of wood like this. So it's 1 inch deep and then 4 inches tall. And I've ordered enough to make 2 of these beds. So if you are thinking about making your own, and each bed will be 150 by 150 centimetres, so like 1.5 metres by 1.5 metres, and then I've ordered the wood accordingly. The great thing about this is that this wood, I will be able to remove it from the bed once the bed is sort of semi-established and use it to make another one. So this wood isn't being kept, it's not the sides of a raised bed. I'm not building or constructing anything here. I'm excited. I'm now going to put the cardboard down to make the second one. I'm just checking the space in between each bed, and I think that's a good space. This will be a path, and I will lay cardboard here also and use maybe some gravel or some wood chippings, bark chippings. But I'll get the bed done first. Bed number 2. Just so happy to be outside. This is why I'm really pleased. I've spent so long, well, not so long, but I paid attention to building my core strength, because this time last year, when I felt like my disc had just completely collapsed, I had no strength there at all, and I couldn't have lifted that bag of topsoil. So I'm just so pleased. Just stay strong, people. What I didn't realise is how much worms love cardboard. I had no idea. I think this is just wonderful. But it's also why it's really important to get the tape and not to use any boxes that may have a plastic film on them or anything like that. Yep, that's almost the second one in position. So I've come to somewhat of a halt at the moment because I'm waiting for the wood to arrive. That's not going to arrive until Tuesday, at which time I will sort of frame these beds with that, and then I'll be able to add the rest of the topsoil and then the compost, and then start planting. Right now I'm going to add some more topsoil to them both and just use up what I've got there, and then I will cover them in plastic, and weight that down with some stones and with some rocks, so that if the rain does come, it doesn't just wash it all away and undo all of my good work. So I will continue with this into next week. It's a shame that the wood thing didn't work out, but you know, it is what it is, and it's arriving Tuesday. But I hope you get a sense of what I'm trying to do here. I'm really looking forward to planting, and literally as soon as the wood's here and I've got all of my compost in, I could be planting by Tuesday. If I had planned it a bit more, I could be planting today. That's how easy it is, but you know what, these things happen. Okay, so we're very early in the growing season. It is still February, as you know. You would have seen me planting tulips in here, and here we go. A paw, a snout, or a something shaped, an animal shaped. I don't know, what is that? I know it's a hole, but look at that. They've stolen my tulip bulbs. I just feel like I should have had a bit longer before they ravaged the place, that's all. And also, I don't think that's deer, which means it's something else. It's me against nature, I feel. And I'm not going to win. I think the reason I'm so shocked about that bulb being dug up is because they've never taken anything out of those planters before. Nothing like the deer haven't come up and eaten out of those planters. Certainly squirrels, nothing has done that. I thought that the porch was a safe area, I must admit. You know, the gloves are off, guys. The gloves are off. And the boots are on. I can't get my boots on. I've got the wrong socks and the wrong jeans, but I'm rushing out after doing this and I just don't have time to be changing all over the place. I'm just going to have to get all hot and bothered. Oh. So what I'm doing here is this whole porch area this summer, I'm going to be focusing on. It's the most beautiful space. It's perfect at sort of Halloween-y time. If you go back a few vlogs ago, around sort of October time, you'll see that I decorate this entire space with pumpkins and hawthorn and berries and wreaths and hydrangeas, and it's just lovely. At this time of year, sort of soggy February, when it's starting to warm up a little bit, it looks quite, well, it's quite muddy down here and it's dirty, and obviously those critters just dug this bed up. So I'm going to start tidying and planning this area. So I've had to have a think about, gosh, there's a huge bird up there. I've had to have a think about what I want to grow over here. We've got the wisteria, which is vigorous. It is vigorous. And it has grown into the guttering before, and it's come up, and it's, you know, it had to be dealt with quite severely. But what I've got here, and I'm going to plant here, it's not a climber in the traditional sense, but it does grow quite tall and it's vigorous. And this is called a Snowball Viburnam. I've had them before and they're absolutely wonderful. They're such fun and they're gorgeous. They're a bright white, and this is going to go here and will be rather large, hopefully one day. And having this here and just tidying all of this area here, and knowing that I'm going to do these window frames in the summer and just give them, get the chipped paint off and give them a fresh coat of paint. I feel like this area is small enough to not get overwhelmed by, and then focusing on my little market garden down there. My gut feeling is that that's going to be enough for this summer, because in terms of starting new projects, because the thing is that the rest of the beds and the lawns and, you know, the trees, they all still need to be looked after. and I really just want to keep new projects to a minimum, but have them have the biggest impact. And I think that this area here, and then down there, and just maintaining the rest, will give me that. So let's start tidying up. It's warm, like I'm not even kidding you. I've got a sweater and a thermal on, but I'm not cold, I'm not too hot. It is perfect gardening weather. I'm using this hoe to get rid of some of these little weeds that have popped up as it's warmed up a little bit. If I get on top of them now and stay on top of them by just doing this for a couple of minutes a day all along here, then it would be great. I mean, it's like housekeeping, isn't it? It's just sort of staying on top of it. It's when it gets overwhelming that it starts to become an issue and just starts to become, well, no fun at all, really.
Bacon sandwich time.
So I've dug a hole big enough. Actually, it's the next day, I should say that. So when I started to dig the hole for my viburnum, I then got called away into Petworth, and it then was pouring for the rest of the day, so I left it. But I've just finished the beds down there, and I have now finished the hole for the viburnum just here. So I'm going to pop it in. Viburnums like a lot of sun. This will get sun. They can cope with some shade, but they like, I think it's between 6 or 8 hours of sun. So this will be perfect for that. Like I said, they're very vigorous. They can be used for hedging. But for this, I'm just going to grow it up to about sort of this height, so that the door and the porch area just has a nice sort of frame. It's a lovely bed along there, so I don't need to do that, and I don't want to block out any of the light to the window at all. But if you don't know what these are like, they're absolutely glorious, and they've got those big white pom-pom flowers that then go a sort of slight pink colour. That's perfect, actually. Look at that. Brilliant. It's always quite worrying, but that's worked well. I'm going to go and get some compost that I've got, maybe some topsoil, and then leave it there. This is great. It's just far enough away from the wall just to sort of get that vigorous growth that I really want. So the viburnum is in. I'm now going to have a tidy up around here. I've got lots of little bits of terracotta where a couple of pots were blown off in a storm and smashed everywhere. So I've got lots of leaves and things like that. So I'm just going to have a tidy up, maybe a bit of weeding, a bit of cutting back, and a sweep. And then I need to start thinking about how I'm going to keep all of this safe from my friends the deer.